Hello, my friends. I'm here today giving you my early impressions of Pascal's Wager, which is available now on Nintendo Switch. Many thanks to Eureka Studio for sponsoring this video. As always, when it comes to sponsored gameplay videos, I will remind you that I receive offers for sponsorships basically every day, and I rarely accept. And when I do, it is only under the condition that I can be completely honest about the game. So, Pascal's Wager caught my eye because I've been on a huge Dark Souls kick recently. Like, really, a lot, really huge. And this game very clearly borrows heavily from that style. It's the same kind of grim, dark fantasy aesthetic. Mainly though, if you're gonna boil everything down, it's the combat. This is the same kind of slower, more methodical combat. Quick reactions and good timing are absolutely important, but it all comes with a certain rhythm to it. You know, it takes a bit for your hits to land, and you've always got to watch your stamina meter. It's very strategic. And I must say, the combat is very satisfying. The impacts are all super visceral. You really feel every hit. And that, of course, makes a successful fight all the more satisfying. When you fumble a bunch and you die, you look really stupid. But then when you get it down and you kill a big enemy, it feels awesome. There are multiple characters that you can switch between, and they've got really different play styles. And this is cool because you get the fun of playing around with different builds without having to, run through the game again and again with new characters or switching around your weapons. It's a nice injection of variety baked right into the game, you know? Another good reason to switch up characters is that there's this really interesting sanity system where the more a character fights, the more they build up insanity. Higher insanity changes stuff and makes enemies harder, and it can even make these murderous phantom ghosts spawn, but then you get extra rewards for everything. So it's an interesting risk and reward system where you're deciding if you want to let your character go insane or try to balance things out with other characters. Pascal's Wager is not an open world game. It's split up into areas that you complete chapter by chapter. You're a courier, so you travel around the land, and your carriage is like a little hub where you can buy stuff and talk to the other characters and decide where to go next. You know me? I love my fun little hubs. Within each area, there's lots to explore and fight and loot, but you're not going to find yourself getting lost, which definitely makes the game a lot more approachable. In fact, it feels like they really wanted to make a game that was a lot like other Souls-likes, but a bit easier to get into. It's even got a casual setting if you want to, ease yourself into this kind of challenging strategic combat. There's also not much penalty for dying. As far as I've seen, you don't drop or lose anything, so that's another way that it's a little better for newcomers. Now, this is an RPG, so on top of the action, you've got a lot of cool RPG stuff to play around with. You got your basic stat leveling, but then there are all sorts of different doodads to equip, skill trees to work through, brewing potions, trading with merchants, all that stuff. Everywhere you go, you find helpful items, and of course, enemies pretty much all drop stuff. There's really a lot to dig into if you're looking to make your characters as strong as possible. And of course, everything feeds into that RPG loop where you're always fighting and making little bits of progress here and there, and it feels good. So let's talk about presentation. Pascal's Wager was originally a mobile game, and often when you hear that, you go, uh-oh. A mobile game? But no, this is one of those opposite cases where the developers clearly set out to make a mobile game that you'd never guess was a mobile game. On top of it just plain being a whole complete game with decently deep gameplay and all that, the visual presentation is really surprisingly good. I mean, the graphics are nice, the world is detailed, the atmosphere is thick, it's got tons of cutscenes. The enemy and character designs are great. The heroes in particular have these really cool weapons. I love this big coffin guy. As a game that borrows a lot from Dark Souls, it does a great job of matching the same style without feeling like a carbon copy, you know? On the topic of presentation though, the great visuals do come at a small price. The frame rate isn't the highest. I'm told it's locked at 30 FPS, and the majority of the time runs between 25 and 30, which sounds pretty accurate. The frame rate is consistent without a lot of dips, which is good. But the game does have a bit of a slow quality to it. And in fact, that's really the main issue that someone might have with Pascal's Wager. It's very slow paced. It takes a while to get around. The controls can be a bit fiddly when you're not used to them. I took a while before I started to feel more comfortable with the controls. Some of that might be the game, and some of that might just be me taking a while to adapt because I've spent so much time playing games that are similar but not exactly the same. I'm not really sure. But I do know that people looking for a crazy button masher combo sword hack and slash game need not apply. This is for people who like to comb through a game world, figure out how all the enemies work, dig into multiple combat options, build a character one piece at a time. That style of game can be very, very fun and rewarding when done right, but as with Dark Souls, it's important to know what you're getting into and to set your expectations accordingly. One more thing about the controls, one issue you might have is that the camera controls are pretty touchy. It feels like the camera only moves at like one speed, and it's taken me a while to get used to that too. If they end up updating the game, I do hope they're able to patch in a more fluid camera. Fortunately, you can adjust the sensitivity to at least get it feeling as comfortable as possible. Now, we can't forget that this is a Switch title, which means you can play it any old place you want. And I gotta say, I have seen games from much bigger publishers that take massive hits to performance when playing handheld, but Pascal's Wager ain't having none of that. At least in my experience so far, this is one of those rare games that basically looks and plays just as good handheld as it does docked. Visuals are crisp with no noticeable downscaling, and the frame rate is basically identical, so that's certainly nice. It makes it a very appealing option to play on the go. Overall, Pascal's Wager is an impressive title. I need to play more to see how much it scratches that Souls-like itch, and the gameplay does take some practice and patience. But if you're into these kinds of games, I would look into it. It was a mobile game, yet it still manages to look way better than many other console RPGs, and even from the beginning, you can see that the devs took the lore and world building seriously. It's an immediately interesting world, and that's not easily accomplished in the fantasy space. One more thanks to Eureka Studio for sponsoring this video. If you want to learn more about Pascal's Wager, head on down to the link in the description and click the link with your mouse or your finger. I love you. Have a good day.